Hello everyone and welcome to Grand Bend Motorplex for the second national race of the 2018 season for the Liqui Moly Pro Sport Bike class. I'm your series announcer Frank Wood. Today's race is brought to you by Dalton Timmis Insurance, Honda, Magneti Morelli offered by Mopar, Drift, and Dunlop.
Windy conditions here at Grand Bend, but fortunately the rain is holding off. It didn't hold off yesterday, which kind of upset the schedule. Unusual situation. We're actually going counter race here, going out to do just over one warm-up lap, and then we will grid up in the middle of the circuit.
Second race of 2018, the second visit to Grand Bend Motorplex. Last year's race went off very well. Let's have a look at our lineup for the start of the Liqui Moly Pro Sport Bike National Championship Final.
Pretty close amongst the qualifiers, and first to last, not much of a range in terms of time, so that's encouraging in terms of the pace we're expecting for our race. But it was probably worth mentioning that at the very last minute, Mitch Card snatched the pole. A pretty competitive session first thing this morning, and here we can see most of the field about to head on to the back straight.
Mitch Card had a rather rough run at round one at Shannonville, so snatching pole position here in the Liqui Moly Pro Sport Bike class was kind of a payback for him, a little bit of redemption, if you will. And
there's McKay, and he has had an up and down weekend. He has been very fast, but he had a huge crash. Big effort went into rebuilding that bike to get it ready to go out. He got his first career podium 2 weeks ago at Shannonville, third overall, and he is certainly one of the favorites to do well here, his home track. That's Card you can see hanging out his foot to let you know he's slowing down, getting ready to go to the grid. Louis Raffa, Hornblower, another fast local guy who is expected to do well and qualified quite well, but probably not quite as well as he was hoping. Another guy along with McKay who could contend for pole.
And speaking of redemption, I'm sure Josh Fenton would like to do well in this contest today, as he had a rough go and a crash that put him out of the final at the opening round at Shannonville. Riders now starting to take their grid positions.
Talking about redemption, we saw Tremblay there on the 24 Kawasaki. He's come to this class from Superbike. He ran at the very front at Shannonville, but of course had a crash fairly late in the race when he was definitely looking set for a podium. So Tremblay's looking to get some good results too. Yeah,
that was most unfortunate for Tremblay that he crashed out like that, and particularly that he couldn't get back up and get going. I know the bike was running, but his clutch was non-functional. So now the riders looking at the Pro 6 cycle countdown starting lights here. The lights go all the way on. We wait patiently for them to go off. They have gone off and the field has launched, and away we go. And it looks like Hornblower's got the nod on this one. No, it isn't. It's the champion. It is Tommy Cassis that has grabbed the lead right off the bat.
And this is what I say every time we see the leading guy in points or the previous race winner get the lead right off the bat. It is not what everybody else wants to see, because we know he's capable.
Lockout Card right in his draft and has pulled out and made the pass. Nice move by Mitch Card.
If you didn't see the coverage from Shannonville 2 weeks ago, we saw a lot of Mitch Card going by people on the straightaway.
In through the carousel here, this long sweeping right-hand turn, and then down in through 11. That's exactly where McKay had his mishap, as a matter of fact, on Friday afternoon that caused his team so much work.
Very exciting watching that sweeper coming onto the finish straight, but boy, a slightest mistake there is a problem, and it is windy today, so it's a little bit of a concern. That's one of the places where that can manifest itself, and the riders have to leave just a little bit of room. Great on board with our drift camera. Looking at Kazaz, now looking at McKay. Wow. These boys are on top of each other.
Here comes Hornblower now into the mix. We're starting to get some, oh no, something's happening with Hornblower. I think he went a wee bit wide. Speaking of going wide, how about David McKay, as he came very close to the edge of the racetrack on exit?
Yeah, that opened up a little bit of room for the first two. McKay has to be careful not to make any errors and open up that gap. You don't want to lose the draft. So right here, we hit the back straight, and we should see these guys compress, taking advantage of the slipstream. But the guy at the front is the guy who seems to have the fastest bike.
The guy at the front has got a large lead already in this contest. I wanted to mention too that as they're going down that back straightaway, they're getting a push from the wind. That's where the wind is coming from. And when they come out of this corner right here, that wind is hitting them from the side.
Love that shot of them coming through that fast sweeper across the finish line. Card hard on the brakes with that Fast Company R6. Then we went on board briefly and we're into the technical section. They call the S's. This is in front of the crowd, and this is where a lot of the action happens.
Yeah, entertainment central for sure. The fans in the background there, and a really good turnout in fans today showing up here at Grand Bend Motorplex. And
looking forward, I think we're on board with Hornblower, so that's
right.
McKay right in front of him, and Kazaz in front of McKay. Then behind that, I think it's Tremblay.
on the white bike.
Yeah, so we get an idea of the top group, and these four are opening it up just a bit. So Tremblay and the people behind need to start being really consistent to not get scrubbed out. And look at this, much closer on the draft going onto the back straight this lap.
Right, so Tremblay's got some company back there. He's got a dancing partner, so somebody will come along. And on board now with David McKay, and now looking back at those in pursuit of the top four riders. And McKay takes a nice move in on Kazas. He has gathered up second spot, a little bit wide there. He left the door open for Kazas, but Tommy couldn't respond.
Yeah, and that's a much harder pass than you think it is to complete it into the carousel. Things get tight there. He did drift a little bit wide, but he made it stick. So now the trick is, can he go right back after Card? And the answer is yes. And I wonder if maybe Card made a little mistake while we're watching that pass, because after McKay was a little rough, couple of little errors, is now right on top of our leader.
Yeah, he is right there and ready to pounce by the look of it. McKay having a look way ahead into the oncoming corner here, in through the right-hander. And McKay now in through Entertainment Central once more, and down in towards 8, 9, and 10, if I'm not mistaken.
Right, another set of S's. There's a lot of S's here, and then this really difficult bumpy corner, really two corners that leads us onto the back straight, and there you can McKay is in a perfect spot to slipstream what seems to be the fastest 600 in our series.
Having a look at Will Hornblower on the 47 bike, he pulls out maybe a bit early. Is he going to make the pass on Tommy Kazas? Kazas has already been gathered up by Mitch Card in the first lap, and then of course David McKay caught him last time around, and it looks like Hornblower has intentions of putting Kazas down one position as well.
Love this shot. Look at it, Card as he crosses the finish line, breaks into the technical.
Here comes McKay right onto the inside there of turn number 2. He's got him. He has taken the race lead now right in front of the gallery, and a huge response by the crowd here. McKay, of course, a local rider that competes here at Grand Bend in the Soar Series, so he is well known around these parts, and he's got a good fan following.
That was an aggressive pass. It has allowed McKay to pick up maybe half a second, so this is maybe the biggest lead we've seen since the first lap. But you know Card was not happy with that move, and of course these things in this class where the bikes are so close together, there tends to be a revenge situation where now Card has it in his mind that when he makes his move, he is going to leave even less room.
McKay getting a little bit of a gap there as we're looking back now at Tommy Kazas from Mitch Card's bike. And now having a look through that carousel once more, I was going to mention that David McKay finishing third at Shanaville in the opening round of the 2018 season. He's got that inner fire burning, Colin. He has the confidence happening, and he's on his home track.
That onboard through the carousel really gives you a sense of what it's like to be doing a good speed, then hard on the brakes with other people very close around you, and little mistakes can really be problematic. McKay is ambitious. He goes deep into the carousel, sometimes a little too deep, but he's got good speed and he's hard to pass.
We were on board with Will Hornblower. Now we're looking back at Will Hornblower, and now having again look again at David McKay. Remember last year, of course, McKay was running very well as well when he got tagged up with Chris Garvey going into turn 2, and they both ended up on their backsides.
Well, McKay hasn't ever won a race. He's been on the podium. Hornblower has never won a race. He's been on the podium. Hornblower's been very, very close. And I think McKay is due and Hornblower is overdue. But of course, Card and Kazaz have been the dominant riders lately in this class and have normally raced each other. So a lot on the line here early in the season, and we're talking about a bunch of young guys who are really hungry, would like to move into Superbike full-time.
McKay's starting to get some serious distance here, Colin. I was going to suggest that he and Mitch Card were going for a ride by themselves, but I think it's David McKay. He's got control of this thing right now. He's got a stranglehold on it.
I don't know if he has a stranglehold, but by the standards of pro sport bike, this is a margin that will be hard to overcome, and it's a little bit if the guys behind him will stop racing each other and just try and put together a couple of smooth laps. Now we're on board with Card, and Card has so far this season proven last year his bike was fast. This year his bike seems to be even faster. That is always helpful when you're trying to catch up.
How appropriate that it comes from Fast Company.
Yeah,
here we have a look at McKay going in through 8, 9, and 10 and onto the back straightaway. Colin was going to mention these riders spend a lot of time on the sides of those tires.
Yeah, we are talking about Dunlop slicks. This class used to be for DOTs. Last year we switched to the full-on slicks, and we've had continued development from Dunlop. This is a track where tire choice is very important.
Look at this. Look at this, bend over and over and over and over, and then finally bring it up, but for just such a short distance, and then back over to the other side. Whoa. Oh, down he goes! Down goes McKay. Tough break for David McKay. He's obviously okay. You saw him jump up to his feet there just about.
Yeah, it's so easy, and it's heartbreaking because this is where McKay wound up a year ago when he was running definitely at least for the podium, and he just trailed the brakes in there a little deep. It's so easy to do. He was riding with such confidence, minor mistake, but when your road speed is low, it's harder to catch those moments when you start to tuck the front end, and I guarantee you everybody else who just saw that is thinking, man, that could have been me.
Yeah, that was exactly the same spot that he and Garvey went down at last year, and now these riders are running tight. Of course, McKay had given us a bit of an illusion there because he had such a large race.
Look at that. Did you see Mitch Card looking
back? I thought you weren't supposed to do that. No rear view mirrors. I guess you have to turn your head. And Tommy Kaz is getting a bit of a wiggle here as he comes in. He is closed up again. Our champion has become part of the conversation, shall we say, up front, as now he has an opportunity perhaps to take the point away from Mitch Card.
Well, you got two things going on. Card's happy now. He's got clear track, but remember, he's had McKay to follow. Now he's thinking about his front end. All of them right now are thinking about their front tire and how hard they're using it. There's a lot on the plate here, and this section we're in right now really works the heck out of that front tire. On board here with the drift camera, look at that. Kazaz fighting it hard as we head into yet another set of S's, and look at Hornblower is now all over the back of Kazaz again. So this is a straight up 3 Yamaha, 3 bike fight for first.
And it seems as though Hornblower has a great deal of patience so far. He's sitting back there and seems to be observing the Kazas and Card up front and just waiting his time, of course, but he seems to be more patient than I might have expected.
Yeah, and I think Tremblay is still sort of part of the conversation in 4th, and I think that might be Bauer in 5th, who's been with Tremblay the whole time. Those guys aren't that far back. We haven't really spoken about them, but they're not out of the picture yet.
No, and Dylan Bauer, this is, again, he's another one of the locals down here, and a team that had a little bit of trouble through Friday and Saturday, but he seemed pretty confident when we spoke to him this morning. We spoke to his father, and he was very pleased with the progress that Dylan had made.
Yeah, you can see through this section, I think Card is just a little bit careful here. He's not slow, but the other guys are more aggressive, and that's because they have Card showing them what the tires can do. Card is carrying the mail right now, and that is a risky situation. And when you've just seen the leader crash, it worries you. It's nice to have the position that you're not battling him anymore, but you know how close you are in terms of the slide.
The different mindset that you would have too. Tommy Casas, of course, with that #1 plate, he has championship in mind. He knows how to win a championship, and he knows full well that gathering up points is a much better idea than putting it on its side. And that last shot, we did get a shot rather of Sebastian Tremblay on that bike.
I think Bauer was in front of Tremblay. In fact,
really?
I think he was getting away. So that something's going on back there. And it's worth mentioning, the last race 2 weeks ago at Shannonville was the first time that Kazaz broke away and pretty much took control, which is another step in his career progress. But we expected a battle here. We didn't expect anyone could break away, and we expected it to be close, and we certainly expected McKay to be part of it.
Well, speaking of close, if that is indeed Dylan Bauer that you spotted back there, he is getting closer, no question about it. I thought it was Tremblay. Both riders are mounted on predominantly white-colored motorcycles, so we'll try to get a positive identification.
And some doubt, you saw Hornblower have a bit of a moment on the transition. There's some doubt about tire choice here, and some discussion about what would work, particularly on the rear. And I wonder at this point if Bauer went for a different choice and his tire's coming to him when everyone else's tire is starting to tell them to be careful. So look at that car. Card really likes to look at Tommy Kazaz.
And now Hornblower closing in on Kazaz. Just a lap and a half ago, Kazaz was threatening Mitch Card, but now we find that it's Hornblower that's threatening Kazaz.
And when we're watching, they're on board with Hornblower's blue Yamaha with a third of 3 Yamahas in this lead battle. Watching him around the track over the last couple of days, it's possible he might have the best lines of anybody in any class. He definitely has some tricks up his sleeve, some routes that other people don't know, and it reminds me of 20 years ago at Shubenacadie, Nova Scotia, where Don Monroe did his best not to show anybody the lines he knew so that people didn't have the opportunity to copy. Now, of course, right now, Hornblower hasn't shown anybody anything, and I keep wondering if he's got a card in his sleeve.
Yeah. Card up front, Kaz is running in second spot.
Card in front of him, that's not working. Bad analogy, my apologies.
Hornblower holding on to third. We have a fourth player coming here for a certainty. Dylan Bauer is definitely within sight. Now we may be able to sit down and have a game of euchre pretty soon. We got a fourth.
Well, the question is, and you touch on this, Frank, is how willing is Kazaz to engage? Like, what's it going to take? That is an interesting question, because both these guys understand points. Last year it was Card who made the little mistakes that took him out of the championship battle. So both of these guys have fought for a title, know what's possible, and know that a crash will pretty much ruin your chances.
Well, everybody sets a goal going into the season, but Tommy Kazas has got a mandate. You know, Yamaha Canada wants that #1 plate on the front of the Sportbike #1 plate on the front of a Yamaha. Tommy's got it now, and they want him to keep it there.
Now, that back shot from Card's Yamaha with the drift camera showed to me that Bauer is pretty close to Hornblower. Hornblower, who I was touting as a threat, suddenly seems to be maybe getting into the clutches of our fourth place rider.
Something has gone wrong with Hornblower. He's well off the pace of what we saw just even half a lap ago. Tommy Kaz is getting a really good push this time, but look at that Fast Company Yamaha pull away.
Yeah, we saw this at Shannonville, and it's just the same here. And it's not that Kazaz's bike is slow. He's on a brand new Yamaha, but that Card bike shows so well. And of course, at Mosport, the last couple of years, the fastest track on our tour, you know, Mitch Card has been super impressive there. Of course, wide open spaces at Mosport compared to the stop and go section we're in here at Grand Bend. Nice situation here at Grand Bend. Lots of room in terms of if you have challenges or issues, but it's a relatively medium speed track.
You can see how hard Card is trying as well, Colin. When he comes out of turn number 11, he's right down on the gas tank as though it were a long straightaway, and it's not. It's a very short chute, and then he's right back up again. There is Dylan Bauer. You were absolutely right on that identification. We thought perhaps it might have been the Shaker Tremblay, but it is Bauer, and this will get the crowd going as well. They've got they're solidly behind Mitch Card, and now they've got another local guy, shall we say, who is starting to play the game.
All right, our cameraman on the back straight has picked up on that battle and decided that's what he wants to follow. And Bauer's body posture, we're talking about Card. What Bauer's doing here suggests he is absolutely on the move, and maybe he's just a little careful. Now remember, Bauer, given the context of all the other fast guys at Grand Bend, we hadn't really been focused on him, but he is now looking at a podium for sure.
He knows how to make himself aerodynamic. That's a certainty.
And by the way, this is another Yamaha R6 in case you missed that somehow.
Hornblower hard on the brakes going into turn number 1. Here we go now, working that long sweeping left-hander known as 2 Entertainment Center, as I commented on. And there's the gallery in behind, the fans taking in all of this action right in front of them. This is an awesome racetrack.
And Hornblower looks a little bit careful with that rear tire
there by Dylan Bauer as he pulls the front wheel. That's not supposed to be good for you, but it doesn't seem to have affected him.
You got to ask yourself, what's the confidence level with Bauer? He's caught up. The race has come to him. But this, right now, what's happening where he's maybe being a bit careful with Hornblower is really good news for the guys up front, because Bauer caught Hornblower so fast. I was wondering what was going to happen. But right now, he's working on third and not thinking about maybe second or first.
Got into the soft air behind Hornblower there for a moment, but perhaps pulled out a bit too early, or perhaps just pulled out to have a look.
The Bauer is all over Hornblower. Hornblower is going to be hard-pressed to keep the podium right now.
I don't know what's caused him to drop off the pace, because as we commented, he was running equally with Casas and Card up front. There goes, no, he didn't do it. He had a look to the inside going into turn number 1 and decided better thought.
Everybody saw the coverage from last year, Frank, and they know what can go wrong. There's so much has gone wrong in the section we're in now. A lot of big incidents between top riders in the Pro Tour.
Bauer now, he's got him. Bauer moves up right alongside, and yes, he has captured third spot. Dylan Bauer has displaced Hornblower and has moved into third spot, and it looks like already he's starting to pull away from him.
Yeah, he's been following a lot, and now he's on his own. He doesn't have someone to duplicate, but we saw him catch up so quickly. It took him a bit of time to get by, and honestly, lap time suggests if he'd been running the way he is now from the start, he'd be in the conversation for the win.
On board with the Blue Crew Parts Canada sponsored champion Tommy Kazas just for a moment there. Now we're watching Dylan Bauer as he brings it through that long sweeping right-hand carousel. They've been commented on it before. They're on the side of the tires so much on this racetrack.
And now we're on our last lap, and this is Mitch Card. He has not won here at Grand Bend, and it would be a big moment for him to win at another venue on the circuit. And of course, he had a good run at Shannonville, but Kazaz got away. This time it looks like he may be throwing down his marker, and we were very entertained, and we really enjoyed Card versus Kazaz last year, but I think this year could be a little better in the repeat performance.
Yeah, and I think you're absolutely right this lap. Look at how he's pulled away now from Kazaz. He is making a definite statement in this last lap. Yeah,
I mean, Kazaz led from the start at Shannonville, took Card a little bit of time, and we have to mention McKay. McKay rode such a good race, and it's heartbreaking, really, as we are dealing with a lot of wild pollen here on the back straight.
That's amazing amount of pollen in the air this time of year at this region of Ontario. Here we are with Mitch Card once more through the long sweeper. This is his last tour through this section of the course. We're coming out of the turn 11 right now. The checkered flag should be in sight. There it is, and Card puts the front wheel in the air to celebrate the victory here. Tommy Kazas brings it home in second spot, and Dylan Bauer, what a great ride for that young lad as he grabs third spot, his first national championship podium. And look at Card. Do you think he's happy, Colin?
Yeah, I think he's very happy, and he knew that this would be a battle. He has to take races away from Kazaz, and it's going to be like this, I think, all season. We saw it last year, and these two were so entertaining. You know, it was so, honestly, you wonder to yourself, could this year be as good as last year? Because last year in this class with Liqui Moly was so good, but it's shaping up to be even better, and it's full of these very talented young riders.
Wow, this is one of those situations, you know, Mitch Card is going to be next Wednesday before he stops smiling. He is very, very happy rider. Take the checkered flag for a lap, and congratulations from Will Hornblower. Card wondering what the heck happened to you. I thought you were in the race with us, but so Hornblower ends up in fourth spot for the record.
And it's a shame because Hornblower is very much due for a win. He's been so close so many times as we look at our results, confirming a very, very good day for Yamaha.
And fast lap for Tommy Kazas in that race in the second spot.
And I think that was in the early going because Kazaz was looking briefly like he could get away. Tremblay, good effort getting back into the points after that very disappointing crash at Shannonville. Desmarais, rookie pro, showing well. Rafa Vieira, not a great day for the rider from Guyana, but he's marching along, first time at a new track, and so overall, I think he'll take that as a success.
And Josh Fenton brings it home upright, most important for him after the mishap at Shannonville.
Now let's head down to the podium with Frank and our winners.
Dylan, what a ride. Did you have some fun out there, kid?
Oh, yeah. It was a wild ride. I was a little bit back. I had to catch up. And when I caught up, I got past Will on the inside, and it was a good ride. Yeah.
Great stuff. You know we have more races left in this National Championship Series and a lot more chances of joining us on the podium. I again issue you an invitation.
Thank you.
Thanks very much, Dylan, and congratulations on your third place finish. Over here now and a quick chat with the champ. Tommy, this guy beside you made it very difficult out there. You rode the wheels off that Yamaha and had to settle for second.
Yeah, it's nice to see a Yamaha crew up front there, all three, which is good. The race, we got a good start, and that first lap out was slick. It was quite sketchy, just getting the grip, and it was sliding around for the first bit, but once we got 1-2 laps under us, it was hooking up pretty good. Mitch got by me, so did McKay, and then I just decided to stay in behind them for a while. And then Mitch was riding consistently near the end. I would have liked to give him a run for his money, but we couldn't make it happen, so we brought it home in second, and we'll carry it on to St. Eustache, hopefully get on top of the box again.
Ladies and gentlemen, your second place finisher, Tommy Kazas. Well, now, a chance to chat with Mr. Card. You'll remember, of course, last year, Mitch, we referred to this race as being Card Country. Now it truly is.
Yeah, you know, we got out there. It was a solid start. It kind of was real greasy, as Tommy was saying, the first 2 laps. And once the Dunlops hooked up, they were going. David got by me, and it was unfortunate that he tuck the front coming into one, and I knew he had the pace, and he was almost quicker than all of us. So it was pretty difficult, but I just kept my head down, and we were able to bring it to the top of the box.
Well said. Ladies and gentlemen, your podium from the Liqui Moly Pro Sport Bike second round National Championship 2018.
Well, that wraps it up from round 2 here at Grand Bend Motorplex. The next stop on the circuit is St. Eustache, Quebec for round 3. On behalf of the entire CSBK crew, this is Frank Wood speaking. Thanks so much for being with us. Take good care, and we'll see you next time. Today's race was brought to you by Dalton Timmis Insurance, Honda, Magneti Morelli, offered by Mopar, Drift, and Dunlop.